Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Adult Swim Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Adult Swim Christmas movies.
I'm Alonso and Clumsy Hunks, and this
is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Hello, everybody.
Kind of offended Alonso called us clumsy hunks.
I know.
I thought we were just straight up hunks, but apparently we're clumsy too.
I'm occasionally a little clumsy.
Yeah.
I've seen you guys in action.
Yeah. We're clumsy's being kind.
Yeah.
We're just kind of figuring it out as we go.
Yeah. I'll take aloof hunk if I have to.
Yeah. Okay. Aloof. I'm a cute.
Oh,
I
man.
guess, I don't
Let's get
know.
off to a great start.
We're talking about the Adult Swim
Yule
Yule
Log
Log
2.
sequel.
That's right.
But very, very much looking forward to it.
And if you're here for G-rated content only, maybe don't watch this one.
Don't watch it. But I will say, I always, when trying to find out like what's something like that's safe for the family, I always go, is it better or worse than Werewolf Santa?
That's right.
And I would say that this is more appropriate for families than Werewolf Santa.
I don't know.
Look,
Carl,
the first
what
word.
do you do?
The first word in the title is adult, so
Yeah,
This is more graphic than Werewolf Santa.
A little higher budget.
Yeah.
It's a different type of graphic.
Different type of graphic.
I was going to say,
Werewolf
do
Santa.
you object to sex or violence?
That's
That's
right.
always
Yeah.
the key
What's that?
question.
Brand's James Dobson over there. Kids can watch heads exploding all they want.
all day long.
That's right.
But not a boob.
Not
Yeah,
a
that's
boob.
right. Not a boob.
Not a boob unless that boob is me. Am I right, guys?
He's a cute hunk.
Now this is pretty exciting because we are winding down our Mistletoe Mondays with Alonso,
That's
and
right.
we'll be moving to Festive Fridays
Festive
with
Fridays.
Alonso,
Oh.
which is this is big. It's
big deal. It's big deal.
Change is always hard.
Change is hard.
Change is always hard.
But how could we do Mission Impossible movies on Friday when they're called Mission Impossible? It has to be
The
Mission Monday.
Mondays make way
Festive
for
Friday.
Festive Friday.
That's right.
It's our
Just
hands.
another Mission Monday.
Our hands were tied. So the good news is Alonso isn't going anywhere.
No.
And, I think that we've gotten so used to starting our weeks off with Alonso that I think it'll be a bit of a transition. But you're not going away, and we've got
It's not goodbye, it's see you later.
It's see you on Friday.
Yes. Au revoir.
It's see you on Friday, where we are approaching me getting to just pick movies from other networks, which is very exciting. We're approaching that time. Alonso, I think we have a Max movie next week, and then we are letting Alonso pick a movie for his birthday, and
That's
then,
tradition
and then
unlike
we
any
will
other.
transition to obscure movies after that, which we're very much looking forward to. Because Adult
Are
Swim's
we?
Yule Log 2 branching out, not obscure.
Not obscure, very,
No.
very
Mm-mm.
mainstream. Yeah.
Very mainstream. That's exactly right.
It's from Warner Brothers Discovery. I don't know what to tell you.
That's right. Let's dive into it, shall we? Adult Swim's Yule Log 2, Branchin Out, originally premiered, I'm fairly certain, in the dead of night on December 6, 2024, and it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with, you guessed it, a Yule log. This woman, Diane, shows up and begins to vacuum a floor. There's a knock on the door, and it is a woman saying that she has car trouble. Suddenly, her son invites himself in, and we see Diane get pushed down in front of the camera, and then a guy in a mask comes after her. Just then, the video is paused, and we find out that the police are watching this tape and trying to figure out what happened, who this killer is, and all of that stuff. Apparently, Diane doesn't make it, but she's not the only one that experienced this that night. From what I gathered, Diane was cleaning the house for a group of renters who were going to show up soon, which they all do, and all of them die except for one person, Zoe. But Zoe is not doing well, and Zoe knows the truth. It wasn't just some random killer that did this, rather a killer Yule log that floats around and kills people. She begins to feel like she's seeing this Yule log everywhere. It is haunting her dreams. It is haunting her as she watches movies. It's bad news. Speaking of which, the police officer who is watching more of the tape suddenly hears a sound coming from the evidence room, and he goes to check it out, and it is the Yule log. And I turn to Dan and I go, oh, he must be dreaming.
Nah, man, that's the movie.
He fights back against the Yule log, and the Yule log cuts off his leg with a chainsaw, then blows the building up with some dynamite, which it lights with itself because it is a Yule log that is on fire and floating around.
Thanks for explaining that one.
Which then destroys the videotape. Zoe tries to get back to her normal life, but she feels like she's seeing this Yule log everywhere and ends up getting fired from her job. She hears from the police that the case is closed. The guy with the mask is clearly the killer. She says, no, it's the Yule log. The police aren't having it. Her friend, Jakester, tells her that they're going to get away from everything and go to an island for Christmas. They get in the car, but we see Santa uses his Christmas magic to cause them to get in a car accident. They crash into a tree. Tow truck driver shows up. He's a total hunk. Zoe begins to walk around this small town, axe in hand, and notices that as she begins to walk onto Main Street, things get way brighter, as if she's walking into a Hallmark movie. She keeps bumping into hunks on the sidewalk. She doesn't have time for this. The first hunk we get is an influencer named Beauregard, and he tells her, we're going to get dinner. And she's not having it until she finds out that he has a helicopter. Could be her way to get out of this place, so she says yes. After the fourth hunk knocks her down, she yells for help, and a hunky Christmas ornament shop owner comes to help her get inside. She meets, she finds out that his name is Bert. She meets Bert's kid and Bert's Nana, and finds out that Bert is a widow. She accidentally knocks down all of the ornaments and tries to fix them, but she gets a text with Bo about where to meet, so she has to leave quickly. She finds out that Bo has opened up his own Christmas ornament shop to compete with the small town one, which is unfortunate. While all of this is happening, the Yule log is having an adventure of its own. It sneaks into the trunk of a family who is going camping and proceeds to brutally kill them all. Bo agrees to let her use the helicopter to escape, but it leaves without her, which is a bummer. She's walking back to town, and Bert and his family pick her up. They're out looking at Christmas lights and offer to let her stay with them. She opens up to Bert about what happened to her, and Bert is like, don't worry, I know just what you need. I've built this machine that helps you fight through your trauma. And wildly enough, the machine works. Her life is changed. She now is full of Christmas cheer and isn't afraid of the Yule log. All in, all done. Bert and Zoe have a wonderful day together, blowing bubbles by the creek, sliding down a fire pole, and it seems like this is great. It's the happy ending we've all wanted, until we see that the Yule log pokes its head around the corner. But don't worry, Santa is there to capture it in a bag. He puts the Yule log through a wood chipper, and the wood falls into a shallow grave, which he pours cement onto. That's the way that you do it. And then he says some sort of Native American land blessing over top of it. It's a weird bit. So weird. But one tiny little wood chip escapes and flies into the air and ends up giving Nana a splinter. And a splinter is all you need sometimes. They all go inside for dinner, and for reasons I'm not sure of, Zoe goes and opens the freezer and sees a miniature version of Nana, who invites her into the freezer. She climbs into the freezer and becomes a miniature version of herself. She then sees her ex Alex is in the freezer, working on his boxing skills. I don't know, man. It's Adult Swim in the middle of the night. The next day, Nana is complaining about her stomach. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, Nana. It's time for Christmas dinner, and all of the family shows up. Nana starts throwing up all over the food and then begins to choke. One of the family members goes to give her the Heimlich when suddenly they are stabbed by a giant tree branch that exits her back and into his chest, and more branches begin to branch out of Nana until her head comes off and the Yule log pokes through the head hole. If that's a image that you can picture in your mind. Nana Yule log takes herself to the Yule log festival that's happening in the town square. She gets all the Yule logs to light on fire and begin attacking the townspeople. Nana Yule log tracks Zoe and Bert back at his house, where they discover that the ashes of their loved ones will put out the fire. So they pour the ashes onto Nana. They win. Zoe decides it's best if she leaves town, and Bert discovers that there is now a newfound fandom for the Yule log massacre that just took place, and so he decides to basically rebrand his store as both a Christmas ornament shop and a Yule log massacre museum. It's a big grand reopening, and Zoe shows back up, and they end up kissing, and then we see Bert's kid has held on to a little tiny piece of grandma and is going to, I don't know, bring it back to life. Who can say? And that, my friends, was
Adult Swim Yule Log 2 branching out. We did it.
We did it.
Yeah. That's the good
You
stuff.
thought Christmas Eve in Miller's Point was the plot synopsis we've been waiting all year for,
No,
but
that was it.
I think you topped it, Bram.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That
I
was
did the
it.
best that I could.
Took
Let's
me 5 minutes to realize the synopsis was going to be worth it.
let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this movie down here on Deck the
the
Hallmark. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking Yule Log 2 from Adult Swim.
Branching out.
The sequel of Yule Log.
Is that how that works?
Yep.
Wow.
And when Alonso, was letting me know, hey, here's the movies that we need to do, and he included the Adult Swim Yule Log 2, I said, what's that now?
What's it come?
Is there a plot to this movie? I was thinking this is probably like a Yule log, and then weird things happen around it.
Yeah.
That's not what we get here. We get a full movie. It's a whole thing, and I'm glad that I watched it. Let's share our thoughts on it. I'll start with you, Alonso. What'd you think, Yule log 2?
Yeah, I think, we have seen over the years several films try to parody Hallmark movies. And I think it's tricky to do from the point of view of, the tropes or like, or isn't this, we know it's going to happen, the predictability, that kind of thing. This movie, I think, makes a very wise choice of showing that Hallmark movies and horror movies are just a sliver difference.
That's exactly right.
Your car breaks down in a small town where everyone is obsessed with a festival. Like, it could go either way. And this movie really just leans into that and the sort of close proximity of how those two movies could go. So I think it's pretty great. And I was a fan of the first Yule log, which was literally just starts out as a Yule log, and then the camera just kind of pulls out and things are happening in this vacation house. These are both created by the guy who did Too Many Cooks, if you remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
Too many cooks.
Too many cooks. Hey,
Too Many Cooks. Yeah.
We had two Bible teachers at our school show Too Many Cooks to a group of students because they heard it was funny and didn't know what happened in Bible class. It was the end of the year. Right. Yeah, I know. That's fun. Just fun story for later. But there you go.
So in the same way that Too Many
One
Cooks
of them was
embrace
Panda.
Of course.
Yeah.
In the same way that Too Many Cooks wraps its arms around both sort of innocuous 90s sitcoms and creepy David Lynch imagery,
Yep.
There's a lot more Lynch here. I'd say the whole freezer sequence feels like something out of Mulholland Drive. And incidentally, the thing with Santa and the land acknowledgement is something that you see more and more, like certainly in Los Angeles, when you go to any kind of event, they will often begin with a land acknowledgement about talking about who's like the land that we were on was once, populated by the whatever people. And so that's what that joke is.
That's awesome. And it also means I have to backspace right out of my only wait what. So cool. Thank you, Alonso.
I'm shocked that was your only way what, but yeah, anyway, I'm a fan. I like this as a horror movie, as a Hallmark parody, and as a very strange Christmas film.
Yeah, we've seen a handful of Hallmark Christmas parodies, and the struggle is at some point the joke wears itself out a little bit, and then you're like, well, what do we do with it? And I think the key is to surround it with a horror movie. And then the joke, it's not all the joke. It's also you get...
Don't make it the only thing.
That's exactly right. And you get a lot of really creative kills here. You have when Nana becomes Nana Yule log, it's crazy. It is and surprisingly, like, it looked really cool. Like, it was really well done. And so there's a lot to like about this. It's very fun. It is very odd, but I feel like it does handle itself better than some other stuff that you might see on Adult Swim that is all weird. And like, that's the whole thing is that it's weird.
Right.
This movie, you have the parody going on. You have a pretty darn good horror movie going around it with elements of really weird Adult Swim stuff in it. So it's like this, it's a really good mix of things that keeps you engaged. And so this movie, I don't think is for everyone, but it's for Bran. Really, really enjoyed myself. And like some of the stuff that they do with her exiting horror movie and entering Hallmark movies is really smart and clever and well done. So really enjoyed myself. Dano?
Yeah, I think if you like campy, like blood and gore and Hallmark Christmas movies, this is a must watch for you. I thought it ran out of steam about the last 15 minutes or so, but for the majority of the runtime of this movie, I think they understand Hallmark movies better than Hallmark understands them.
I'd like to talk with the guy who did it. Like, how much research did you do for this movie?
Yeah, the jokes are there, but they're not superficial. They're not like when you run in my line of work all the time. If I ever mention I do Hallmark movie podcasting for a living, people always... oh my gosh, my wife loves those. Or, oh my gosh, they're all the same. Or big city girl goes to small town. And I find myself defending Hallmark movies. The jokes here, while very broad and very blood splattery, are also very nuanced. It's not just, there's a lot of hat on a hat jokes here of a magic Santa that causes a car crash. Or, like it's continuing to run into hunks over and over again. And so you have to appreciate that. I do think at some point I could have done with the finale at the Yule Log Festival or the finale of Nana at the Table. I at some point I was like, okay, we've ground the gears and we've done the thing, and I was kind of done. But make no mistake, if you are like, if campy blood and gore, like original Evil Dead kind of stuff meets Hallmark movies sounds interesting to you at all, you have to give this a watch. I mean, in the first 5 minutes, there's a floating lit Yule log that's just killing mofos. And at that point, the idea of a wait what is done. I know we can have some, but any wait what should be prefaced, or there should be an asterisk that states, remember, the first 5 minutes has flying lit Yule log murdering someone.
And it's not a dream.
Yeah.
Now, in the first one, does that happen, Alonso? Does the Yule log begin to float and attack people?
It's been a while since I've seen it. I believe it does, but in a much more sort of constrained space. But the movie does end with they reference it in this film, the Yule log attacking Zoe and her boyfriend in the car, and it looks, the way it ends, you would think they both died, but they tell
Clearly
you that she didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
She made it.
All right, let's get to the feels. We talk about what this movie gave us feels. Alonso.
Yeah, just again, I think Dan's right. Or y'all both said that this guy clearly knows his Hallmark movies. Like he is very well entrenched in not just the tropes, but the design choices, like the lighting, a lot of things that are very specific to these movies. And I really kind of love Bert's line about, look, we're all going to die, but you can choose to live in a Hallmark movie or a horror movie, and
it's a great line.
Weirdly enough, that is kind of a philosophy.
Get busy living. in a Hallmark movie, or get busy dying
in a horror movie. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, it's how Alonso and I live our lives.
That's right.
Totally. We've made that choice.
We're going to do our best to live in a Hallmark movie.
And I mean, there's literally a character in this movie named Bert Card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birthday
Short
card.
for birthday.
Short for birthday. I mean, what else do you need?
The whole Card family.
How did you like every other Christmas movie, like Christmas Movie Christmas, which has funny moments? Every other movie that does this just uses a name that's already been used, right? Like Holly or Noel or whatever.
Right.
This, I've never heard Bert Card before.
Bert Card.
Like they found a way to do it. So kudos.
As in birthday card.
Yeah.
I don't know.
From the whole Card family.
There were two little jokes that really landed for me. One, as the Yule log tries to get into the car of the people that are camping, it decides that it is going to sneak into the trunk. And to do that, it has to press the open trunk button inside of the car. But it doesn't have thumbs.
Hands.
Or hands. And so it's just smacking, bumping until finally it opens up, which made me laugh. And then when she walks onto Main Street and it turns light for the first time, they do this thing where she takes her hand and she, moves it from horror movie to Hallmark movie. And in the Hallmark movie, her darker skin suddenly becomes a good bit lighter.
It's
and
the
I
best.
thought that was a really nice little jab at Hallmark. I thought that was fun. Dana?
They cover, I have two as well. They cover everything in this movie. One is a great joke and one is a great Hallmark trope that they crushed. Throughout the movie, they hit everything. If you can think of a Hallmark trope that is consistent in these movies, that is really in almost all of them, they hit it. They have an almost kiss. They do all these things. And you think they're not going to do the one where one lead overhears another lead saying something that changes the game. I'm thinking Time for Him to Come Home for Christmas, where Tyler Hines is hiding under the staircase and mishears something, and then he decides to leave for a decade. Like that. In this movie, they're fighting off the Yule logs that have run rampant at the Yule Log Festival, and they think because they have these fireman hoses, if they put all the Yule logs out with the water, that kills them. And there's this guy that's been trying to date our lead, and she's more interested in Bert Card, as you were. And then she comes and basically rescues him, and he's like, wow, this is awesome for our second date. And it's like he's just in his own world. And then Bert pops his head out from around the corner, and he's like, second date? And I'm like, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. That's exactly what this is like. That's exactly what happens in real Hallmark movies that we're really supposed to believe. This is basically the equivalent of a zombie apocalypse, where this guy pauses from like bleeding corpses from Yule logs everywhere to go, did you say second date? I thought we had something here. Like, bro, get your priorities straight. And then second of all, Nana is infected by the Yule log and is at the head of the table and stands up and begins to projectile vomit all over all of Christmas dinner. And after the third vomit at a direct angle on this food, one woman at the table goes, Nana, point your head away from the food. Absolutely perfect.
As
long as
you don't do any more.
Yeah, as if A,
this might work out.
She has a choice, and B, I'm still in for dinner.
Yeah.
If you'll just avert
if there's no further.
I can wipe off it's like, if you got some mayonnaise on your burger brand, you can wipe it off. If you got a lot of mayonnaise, no way. Just perfect. Why is that in there? I don't know, but it's exactly what should have been in there, and it made me so very happy. Yeah.
Let's take one more quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to the way, what, and the Hallmark here on
Deck the Hallmark.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Deck the Hallmark. It is a Monday. It's Christmas with Alonso. We're talking Adult Swim, the Yule Log 2. It's time for the Wait What Is, where we talk about what in this movie made us go, wait, what? Which is always a little bit trickier in a movie that is designed parody and whatnot, but we will do our best. Alonso, what you got?
Yeah, you're right. This movie has already thrown logic far, far out the window. So I do want to plant a flag, and I think the one plot point, hang on. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. I didn't.
That's a pro
he was
right
getting
there.
a little verklempt.
He fought it out.
There we goes.
There we go. All right. Woo. All right. I want to plant a flag in a thing that the brand, the one thing I think the brand left out of the plot synopsis, which is shrimp fudge.
Oh, that's my one. That's my other one. Gosh darn it, Alonso.
Sorry, I didn't mean to keep
that's
good. But yeah, so the idea is that the dead wife, because of course Burt Card has a dead wife. This was the recipe that no one could recreate, but it turns out the second page of the recipe was hidden under an armoire. Yep. But it also gets Zoe her job back at the nonprofit that's protecting coral, because for some reason it brings the coral back to life.
Yeah.
And then also at the end of the movie, we see that the kid is using the shrimp fudge to bring the grandma log back to life. And so, maybe that's my what the adults swim, but obviously, how's that going to go?
Yeah. I will say this about shrimp fudge. I know that it was done on purpose because recipes and losing the recipe, big part of Hallmark movies. Shrimp fudge is the most disgusting culinary thing ever conceived of.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over. I was trying my best to that was
suppress your gag reflex.
That was more disgusting to me than Nana throwing up all over Christmas dinner. Shrimp fudge is disgusting.
Yeah, the idea being that it's like shrimp and mole sauce, but it's fudge.
But it's fudge. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Anything else, Alonso?
That's kind of it.
I got a few. One, you mentioned that she's fired from her job. She's fired from her job after having a clear mental breakdown. Guys, we have to. Yeah. We gotta be a little bit more sensitive, and maybe let's walk with people. Let's journey with them. Get them the help that they need before literally putting all their possessions in a box and saying, "Go somewhere else with your weirdness."
Leave of absence.
That's
maybe,
a tough break for her. I don't know, this may have been on purpose, but I'm sure it was. But as her and what's her friend's name? Jakester. Her and Jakester are driving in the car before they get in the crash, and they're rapping a song. And one of the lyrics is that the house is on fire. And maybe let's get rid of all the songs about a house being on fire when your friend is definitely afraid of a flying Yule log. It just seemed inconsiderate of the Jakester. Hey, listen, I think Jakester, by and large, good friend.
Jakesters are by and large,
but we gotta make sure we're good to go there. Last but not least, Leaf Erickson. Bo says, "Yeah, I got a helicopter. You could use my helicopter."
That's right.
And she shows up, and that helicopter
waits for no man.
Waits for no one. That's a tough break when you're there. You see it on the ground. And then it's like we got to keep up. We got to go.
There's nothing we can do.
That's a tough break for her. I know.
I'm going to say Santa Magic.
Santa Magic must be
another one of these.
No.
Must be.
Sure.
By the way, we never mentioned the town is called Mistletoe.
That's right.
Exactly.
And they have a Yule log festival because they used to have a mistletoe festival, but then people thought it was kind of rapey.
Yeah. And fair. What was going on at the mistletoe festival? I don't want to know. Dana?
I do have one. That didn't get taken. I do have a question about, which is the guy who wants to date her that isn't Burt Card.
Beauregard.
Yeah, Beauregard. He owns a store called Mornaments, which I initially thought were festive ornaments for when someone's in mourning. And I was like, I can't believe we're doing this. It's not. It's MORE ornaments, where ornaments can be so much more. And one of the things he does is he puts a speaker in the ornament, and he has recorded voiceover trailers for movies that don't exist yet, like Fast and the Furious 17. It's a whole thing he's doing. Later on, she gets scared in a great gag. She gets scared. She thinks someone's in the house, but it's a trailer for the new Saw movie sequel coming from the ornament that Beauregard has gifted her. But I believe, and we did not rewind it because we were a bit up against it, I believe it says Saw 19 coming soon to UPN, which means in this world, you created a 19th Saw. I think there's been 10 or 11 of these things. But now you've created a 19th Saw that's going to premiere on a television network that does not exist anymore. And I have questions. I have questions about if UPN is back, and I don't know about it. I don't know. That's my only That's all I got left.
It reminds me of there was a short-lived Clerks animated series.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever watched it.
I remember it.
And one of the weird running gags of the show was that in the universe of the animated series, the UPN sitcom The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer was like the hottest show on television.
Yes.
So clearly UPN,
go look up some UPN show titles. It's a time.
Yeah.
It's a time.
Are they the ones that aired Shasta McNasty?
I was going to say Shasta McNasty. Every time I mentioned there was a show on television called Shasta McNasty, people look at me like I'm crazy. And it starred Gary Busey's son.
Yes.
Jake Busey in Shasta McNasty.
Those who forget history are doomed to repeat
right. You got it. And they had heard about a kid in Titusville, Florida on the streets playing ball.
Called McNasty.
Who loved himself a Shasta ginger ale. And they're like, what if we...
That's right. Combine them.
Shasta
And
McNasty.
I ain't getting any money for that.
No.
I was say, how did you not sue?
Mad. I'm still mad at UPN.
They canceled it after like 3 episodes.
Still money to be had, though. I will say that. It's time for What the Hallmark. It's where we wonder what could have been. Maybe haven't given us a clarity. Any questions we still have? What are we still wondering about after seeing this movie?
Nothing.
Alonso?
Well, I think this is very intentionally presented as we're not going to explain it to you. But who is Santa's sidekick, Holly?
Yeah,
I don't know. I was going to ask you.
Great question.
Yeah, I think that is thrown in as though we're meant to know, but of course we don't, and that's the joke.
Because she says something like, "I've done my part and making things right with Zoe," so I assumed that she was in the first one.
I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'll have to look it up. But I think she's literally just kind of a non sequitur character.
Very random.
That we're just supposed to sort of take as read, even though it's not read anywhere.
I mean, maybe you can help me with this one. I don't know. I didn't even put it in the synopsis because I was so confused by it. But the movie ends with these weird beings on the outside of the store getting ready to walk in, and then that's the end of it. I don't know what these got, and they're like in weird costumes.
That is mine as well.
What is that, Alonso?
Those are all shout outs to the first film, where you find out that it's not just the mass killer and it's not just the log, but there's also aliens. There's also a little man in the fire. There's also a cult. Like there's all these strange things. And so I think all of those things that are advancing on the store at the end are the various villains of the first film.
Alonso assured us we did not need to see the first one. Assured us.
Said.
Lying liar who lies.
Generally, look, these are like momentarily nothing things. So I think, and nothing in this franchise really. Oh, you know what? I take it back. Holly is a character in the first film, so maybe she is returning. I don't know, but we're not.
How did she get into a relationship of sorts with Santa to go and capture the Yule log if she is from the first one? That's I don't know.
I got to be honest. If I have a critique other than it goes on a beat too long for me, it is that this would have been amazing if it were the first one. If it just said in the middle of the night, Adult Swim, it says Yule log, and then it does this.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be better than whatever happened in the first one. But I don't know. I've not seen it. So.
I mean, yeah, circle back, check it out. It's the tone is different from this one, but it's darker, but it's still interesting. So Casper Kelly, who created these, his original idea was he wanted in the first Yule log, he wanted there to literally be like an hour of just the Yule log, and then go into the story.
That sounds very much like an Adult Swim Too Many Cooks situation.
Because what happens there though is somebody has it on, they fall asleep, and they wake up to whatever.
And they're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I love
it. Which I think is, I'm sure his goal.
I love it
with that.
Totally, but they wound up like I think he got like 2 minutes of the log before the movie kicks in.
We see your hour. We'll give you 2 minutes. Welcome to showbiz, baby.
But the other cool thing about this though is that apparently these movies are made on a very low budget, and I don't know for sure about the second one, but the first one definitely was basically made with kind of a discretionary income that Cartoon Network had to create original stuff, so they didn't have to get it cleared by anybody else. I love it. It was just like, all right, we have this money in the drawer, you can make this thing for that, and so they just threw it out there into the world.
Fantastic.
There you go. Well, we've done it, everybody.
Yeah, we have.
Congratulations to us. We're going to be back next week. We're heading over to Max, a sister or a brother or a parent of Cartoon Network. I don't really know how it all works. But for the movie Sweethearts, which is holiday themed in general, I believe. Have you seen the movie, Alonso?
I have not. So
All
looking
right.
forward
Here
to
we
it.
go.
Forgive us if it's not overtly Christmas, but
That's right. We're doing our best.
Best I can figure it is. So we'll see what happens. All right, join us next week for that. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.